Talking about erectile dysfunction isn't easy. Look, most people brush it off or blame themselves, saying like, I lost my mojo, or they make excuses. Hey, I had a long day at work. Sorry, honey. I'm just not feeling it. Guys, with Roman, it's easy to talk about with a real healthcare professional who can prescribe real medication. It's simple, safe, and totally discreet. With Roman, you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship it to you with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is just as easy. Guys, go to GetRoman.com/Chael. Complete an online visit. Go to GetRoman.com/Chael today. If approved, you'll get $15 off your first order of ED treatment. Oh, guys, I just saw a great piece. So Joe Rogan had Quentin Tarantino on his podcast. 5-minute clip. Little clip is going around. I share that in case you want to go watch. It'll only take you a couple of minutes. Joe brings up to Quentin Tarantino One Night in Hollywood. Are you guys familiar with the movie? So in that movie, there was a scene of course, actors, but one of the actors is playing Bruce Lee. And he gets into a fight, and Bruce Lee loses the fight. Now, based around a true story, and the person that Bruce fought, even the depiction, is a former soldier, Vietnam veteran. So Quentin Tarantino took a lot of heat for that. Like if Bruce Lee ever got a script and he was going to lose a fight, he would not do it. He would refuse, just like a pro wrestler. He is not, even on camera, even if you're paying him, even if it's fake, he would not lose on camera. This was a thing. That still holds up to this day. Was it Jet Li? Jet Li and Jackie Chan were going to be in a scene together. And Jackie Chan was going to be Jet Li, and Jet Li refused to do it. And they ended up taking him out of the movie. So I only share with you, like, this isn't just a phenomenon unique to Bruce Lee. Like, this is a real thing. Some of these guys, they mark out for their own gimmick, or they're smart and tactical, and they realize the perception that we'll have in the viewers' minds, and they think they can have negative reoccurring effects down the road. I'm just sharing with you, this isn't totally unique to Bruce, and I'm not attempting to put it on him, but Quentin Tarantino was sharing his pushback. Because while you could never get Bruce to agree to do that, Quentin had somebody playing Bruce who had to do just that and looked like a total jerk, got called out by a soldier, and came in second. Now, while Quentin Tarantino has admitted before that he was not there and did not witness this happen, he says that he has heard from every single eyewitness that it happened exactly the way that he portrayed. And there was major pushback, particularly by Bruce Lee's daughter, who came out and said, hey, you made my dad look like a jerk. He wasn't a jerk. You made him lose a fight. He didn't lose that fight. Just by example, she picked it apart. So Quentin talked about that. He said, look, I got no problem with her. I don't want any kind of smoke. That is his daughter. I respect it. But to everybody else, screw you, because it's exactly what happened, and Bruce was a real jerk. So Quentin went on to tell his story. And Joe, if you ever see Joe, is a great interviewer. But one reason that Joe is so good at interviewing is he lets the guest talk. Joe doesn't jump in and try to steal the show. He'll tee up a question, and then Joe wants genuinely to hear from you. If you guys ever meet Joe Rogan, you'll learn this about him. You'll love to hear from him. He's a very well-read guy. But he wants to hear from you. He's curious. He loves to learn things. So at any rate, Quentin gets it with 5-minute piece here. It's Quentin talking for 4 minutes and 40 seconds. So he says Bruce had no respect for American stuntmen. He thought they were beneath him. He thought they didn't have the talents. And when he wanted things to look real on camera, knowing he's the star and knowing they need the paycheck, he would just let it go. In the professional wrestling business, which is really what you're doing, the stunt work, right? Choreographed. That's why I keep comparing to professional wrestling. You're doing a choreographed, you're cooperating, you're making the other one look good, called selling. That's what you're doing as a stuntman in a hand-to-hand combat scene. Some wrestlers who weren't very good at wrestling, Ultimate Warrior comes to mind, or the Legion of Doom went on to be known as the Road Warriors. They would throw what was called working shots, or stiffs, or potatoes, meaning they're not pulling it at all, and they don't care what happens to the opponent. It's going to look real. Why? because it is. Now, that would show a lack of confidence and ability within your craft. But many people will do it anyway and take advantage of the other one. Take advantage, in this case, according to Tarantino, of stuntmen who need to be there for the paycheck and cannot stand up to the big star. And Quentin didn't like it. He said, man, that's a dick move. Quentin's right. I wasn't there either, by the way. If any of you think this is a kick Bruce Lee, I don't know, and I wasn't there, and I'm not attempting to do that. I'm attempting to tell you about the story that Tarantino told, because Tarantino has never apologized for doing that, and he got backlash. He said, you know what, not only do I not apologize for doing it, I've waited for years to find an opportunity to do it, because I don't like the way this story has been told and retold. The guy was a jerk. And there's a part of me that takes a pleasure from that, I will tell you. There's a part of me that takes a pleasure only because the myth of Bruce Lee is exactly that. It was a myth. That guy couldn't fight a lick. He had very good, in fairness, if we're going to tell the story accurately, very good philosophies. They were very simple. If I was to tell you to them now, which I'm just about to do, I'll already tell you that you're going to go, well, Chael, of course, but it wasn't of course back then. One of the things that Bruce believed is train in all of the disciplines you can get access to. That was forbidden fruit. I started martial arts in 1995, and if you went to a karate gym and you belonged to a jiu-jitsu gym, even if you did everything right, you walked in, you filled up the paperwork, you paid your monthly dues, you would have to have a letter from your first coach saying that you could come to this gym, and vice versa. And if you try to just slip it in and not get caught, and one of them found out, they would tell you, do not come back until you bring me a letter. It was just an honor, it was a respect thing, but you stick with your craft. And you guys that are UFC fans, from the beginning know what I'm talking about when we called it mixed martial arts, because it was a mixing of the martial arts, not together against each other. Taekwondo versus judo, boxing versus karate. Nobody really got together, and nobody really knew the concept of getting together until a guy named Marco Ruas came along, who was said to have equal skill standing as he had on the ground. And at the time that Marco came in, the ranking in Brazil said Rickson Gracie 1, Marco Ruas 2. So he had this tremendous respect in a different style, and largely Don Frye was the same fighter as Marco Ruas was. I enjoyed both of their work very much, but I really saw the same guy. Don was a college wrestler, but he had a professional boxing background. He loved to practice and work on judo in the gym. It was one of these things where you start to see, oh, you can learn other things. As a matter of fact, you should learn other things. If you're a wrestler, isn't it just, can I take the other guy down? What can I do when I get him there? And what if I don't get him down in the first place? As obvious as that might seem to you right now, the year 1993 and the year 1995, when this started to change, man, that wasn't all that long ago. So Bruce Lee, when he was doing this in the 70s and having this philosophies of training as many arts as you can, and then whatever happens to work for you, take that from the art. If you learn a great front kick in karate, take it. If you learn a great side kick in taekwondo, take that. And ultimately, that's where Bruce's art of Jeet Kune Do came from a grabbing of Western boxing, from a grabbing and understanding of some grappling arts, a heavy mixture of conditioning. Bruce Lee greatly believed in strength and in stamina. So he had philosophies. Bruce is looked at very fondly, but he does deserve that in some regard. When somebody like me comes out and I'm a jerk about it, I'm only a jerk because of the misconception, and every fraud that we've ever had in the sport of combat all has one thing in common, which is Los Angeles, California. Every one of them. From Seagal to Van Damme, Judo Gene, bless his soul, I'm sure I'm going to hear about it from you guys, to Bruce Lee. They all can tie back to one area, which is Los Angeles, California. Why? Well, I'll tell you. They used to open up their garages, or they'd have workouts in their backyard. They get a bunch of bums around that wanted to be good at it. They convinced them they were, and they weren't very good, but they were better than those guys. Those guys went on and became writers and cameramen and producers and directors, and they helped to perpetuate the myth. Now, those guys would put their hand on a stack of Bibles and swear what a great fighter those previous names I just said were. Not taking into account, no, he's only great compared to you and the three other guys that were in this backyard workout that weren't paying any dues, right? I mean, it was just one of these things. You're not wrong. Everybody has that same perception. Greatest basketball player in the world, greatest football guy in the world. It's the greatest guy that you've seen or the greatest guy you went to school with, right? It's just how these things work. So when the myth of Bruce Lee starts to carry on, and you will now have MMA fighters paying some kind of respect to him, all the way up to Conor McGregor, who I think does appreciate and probably grew up on some Bruce Lee movies and was even influenced by what he saw on the screen, but there's absolutely no truth to the fact that he's carrying these things over, right? Khabib will pay a tremendous respect to Sambo. Fedor will pay the same respect. I don't know that Sambo or a Sambo tactic has ever been done in mixed martial arts. If I had to bet, I would say it has. Like, there's just been so much martial arts, at some point a Sambo move must have happened. But neither Fedor nor Khabib are outdoing Sambo. It's a Russian art. They trained it in a gym. Their fathers or their coaches or their mentors. So to pay a respect to all of those people, they carry on the name of Sambo. It's not real. It's not in the colleges. You can't get a scholarship for it. It's not recognized in the Olympic Games. It's not a real thing. And how many times are you going to bump into a guy around town and you both happen to be wearing a Sambo jacket? Am I right? But you see where these things come from. And they're okay because they're meant around respect. The resistance comes when you speak to an expert and you try to draw respect with a bridge to reality. They're not the same thing. And to hear Tarantino frustrated for it, I understood some of it. And to hear Tarantino want to depict it, and even in a 3-minute clip of a 3-hour movie made 3 years ago, to get to finally tell this side, he took an evil pleasure in it. I think we can all relate to that.